All right, let's get right into it. We are about to crack open the playbook that pretty much shapes everything: elections, marketing, maybe even the conversations you have every single day. I want you to forget what you think you know about making a good argument. This is something else entirely. This is a battle for your mind, fought between two absolute titans of influence.
Yeah, just think about that for a second. Forget what you learned in debate class. In the real world, in the high stakes game of persuasion, facts, well, they're often the first cards to get thrown away. The game is played with a completely different deck, one that's all about emotion, powerful visuals, and pure gut feeling.
So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If logical arguments, hard data, all the stuff we're taught to value can be so easily swatted aside, then what's actually pulling the strings? What is this secret language that really truly influences how we behave?
Well, we have two master players who claim they figured it out. On one side, you've got a cartoonist who's also a trained hypnotist, and he sees persuasion as a no-holds-barred street fight. And on the other, you've got a brilliant cognitive linguist who literally maps the hidden structures of our minds. Their methods couldn't be more different, but they both agree on one kind of scary thing. You are not nearly as in control of your own thoughts as you believe.
Okay, first up in the ring is Scott Adams. Now, you probably know him as the creator of Dilbert, right? But behind all those hilarious cartoons is a trained hypnotist with let's just say, a ruthlessly practical, high-impact approach to getting people to do things. So, Adam's journey is pretty wild. He goes from corporate life to becoming a global sensation with Dilbert, we all know that part. But the real twist is when he starts applying what he learned as a hypnotist to the real world. This all led to his book Win Bigly, where he became famous, or infamous, for correctly predicting the 2016 US election result when almost every other expert out there got it completely wrong. Adams's whole worldview really comes down to this one provocative idea. He calls humans moist robots. Look, it's a blunt term, I know, but it points directly at this core psychological truth. We aren't these rational beings carefully weighing evidence. No, we're biological machines that respond to emotional programming. And once you understand the code, you can start changing the output. So how does he do it? Well, this is one of his core techniques, and it's pulled straight from hypnosis. It's called pacing and leading. It's simple, but it's incredibly effective. First, you pace. You match the other person's reality. You use their words. You reflect their emotions. You might say something like, "I totally get that you're frustrated." Once you've built that connection, that rapport, and they feel like you truly get them, only then can you lead them somewhere new. Now, just imagine how good it would feel to find a solution. See how that works? Now, this is one of Adam's most powerful and frankly dangerous concepts. A linguistic kill shot is not just a clever comeback. It's a phrase that is engineered to create a powerful, negative, and super sticky mental image. It's designed to completely bypass our logical filters and embed itself directly into our emotional brain. And here's the perfect example of that concept in action: low energy Jeb. That phrase was absolutely devastating. Why? Because it created an instant, unshakable visual of Jeb Bush as just tired, weak, and sluggish. You didn't need any facts or policy papers. That one mental image did all the heavy lifting. That's the terrifying power of a kill shot. All right, let's bring in our second contender, George Lakoff. Now, Lakoff is a completely different animal. He's no street fighter. He's a highly respected cognitive scientist from UC Berkeley. He's not interested in just winning one fight. He wants to understand the entire battlefield of the human mind. Lakoff's entire career was basically built on this game-changing idea from his 1980 book, Metaphors We Live By. He argued that metaphors aren't just fancy words for poets. They are the very foundation of how we think. He then took this idea and applied it to politics, and he uncovered these deep, hidden mental models that secretly drive our ideologies. So for Lakoff, the key isn't some single kill shot. It's about understanding the entire operating system of the mind. He argues our brains use these deep, unconscious metaphors to make sense of everything. He calls them frames, and these frames dictate what we see as just common sense. If you can control the frame, you control reality itself. And this right here is Lakoff's masterpiece. He argues that almost all of American politics can be boiled down to two competing models of the ideal family. You have the strict father model, which sees the world as a dangerous place where you need self-discipline and punishment to succeed. And then you have the nurturant parent model, which sees a world that needs care, empathy, and community. Once you learn to spot these two frames, trust me, you will start seeing them absolutely everywhere.
This is a perfect, classic example of framing. The phrase tax relief is not neutral. It just isn't. It immediately frames taxes as a burden, like an illness that you need relief from. So, of course, lowering taxes seems like the right moral thing to do. But what if instead you called them community investments? The whole debate shifts, right? The words you choose literally create the world you're arguing about.
Okay, so we've got the street fighter and the philosopher. One guy focuses on tactics to win, right here, right now. The other is focused on the deep structures of thought. So let's put them head to head. Let's see where they actually agree and where they completely part ways. You know, what's so fascinating is just how much they agree on. Both Adams and Lakoff would tell you that trying to appeal to pure logic is a total losing strategy. It just flies in the face of how our brains work. They both get that words are tools that literally rewire our brains, and that if you want an idea to stick, you have to repeat it over and over. Their foundation is exactly the same. Humans are fundamentally irrational creatures.
But here's where they really split. The easiest way to think about it is this. Adams's linguistic kill shot is a weapon you use on the battlefield. Lakoff's framing is the act of defining the battlefield itself. Adams is all about practical tactics for winning, right now. His methods are high risk, high reward. For him, the truth just needs to be directionally correct, close enough to feel true. Lakoff, on the other hand, is academic. His goal is deep understanding. His method is to reveal these frames to create a more honest conversation. It really is the difference between a weapon and a map.
So why does any of this matter to you? Well, here's the thing. Once you understand these two systems, the weapon and the map, you can't unsee them. You start to notice the patterns everywhere, in news headlines, in commercials, in political speeches. It's like you've just been given a new secret filter for reality. And the real power here comes from combining them. You use Lakoff's deep framing analysis to understand the underlying battlefield of ideas, the why. Then you use Adams's lens to spot the specific, high-impact tactics being used on that battlefield in real time, the how. When you put them together, you become a master analyst of influence. Because at the end of the day, this is the simple, powerful, and yes, slightly terrifying truth that really unites both of these thinkers. In the arena of human influence, emotion is the primary language. Everything else is and always will be a distant second. Look, this knowledge is an incredibly powerful tool. It can be used to clarify things and bring people together, or it can be used to manipulate and divide. So the real question isn't just about how to spot persuasion. The real question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge?